everybody. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk Bluegrass, episode 5. What an episode we are going to have today, because we are welcoming award winners Brooke and Darin Aldridge, along with Jason and Mackenzie Wood of the Wood family tradition. So let's bring them on, let the fun, and let's get real on a Thursday evening here on Real Talk Bluegrass. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Hey.
So this is going to be exciting. This is first, obviously, to have husbands and wives together who perform on the road and live every day side by side. And it's going to be fun to hear some stories on and off the road, kind of getting a little personal, but also having a lot of fun with it all. So, of course, first and foremost, welcome, of course, 3-time Female Vocalist of the Year, and once again nominated this year for 2020 Female Vocalist of the Year Award, plus your hand in vocal work with Gina Britt in the collaboration category. So a couple nods for Miss Brooke Aldridge. That's got to be a cool feeling, once again, being a 4-time nominee with Female Vocalist of the Year.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an honor to even be considered, in the rounds that you go through to get to the last round, and then in the top 5, of course, too. So I'm always humbled and overwhelmed by that. To be in such a great category with such incredible women that I admire in this business.
And of course, Darin, Mentor of the Year from the International Bluegrass Music Association 2017. So, we're going to pick your brain a little bit about mentorship. And, how is that feeling for you to receive that and be acknowledged for what you do outside of playing?
It was very humbling, too. I've just always enjoyed getting to teach folks, getting to work with other bands. And when the Earl Scruggs Center come into town, I did a lot of help with that, getting it started. And I go work with some classes there. Everybody in Cleveland Community from grade school gets to come visit the Scruggs Center. And I do a little exhibit for them, talk about each instrument, perform for them, even put the banjo in a lot of them's hands, let them learn a little 5-string. And so that was a good thing. And then just producing some bands and working with some other folks. And I was just real tickled. They honored me with that for Mentor of the Year. I had a lot of good mentors coming up myself, so I just passed the torch on.
That's exactly what it's all about. It's passing it on and utilizing that mentorship and obviously handing it over to the next generation. Of course, Jason and Mackenzie Wood, tell us a little bit about you guys. Of course, we all kind of know the history and the togetherness of Darin and Brooke, but of course we're going to go deeper with that, because there's some things that folks don't know, and we're going to, pick at them a little bit. But for you two, the Wood family tradition, kind of new to the scene, but you guys have been performing for a long time. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and the band.
Go ahead. The band Wood Family Tradition is sort of I think like a second and third generation band that stems from Jason's grandfather, A.L. Wood, who was really big in the scene in the 70s and 80s, right?
Yes.
And so it's Jason and myself and Jason's dad, his uncle Bobby, and his brother-in-law Brian Aldridge, who is the son of Mike Aldridge, who's played for a long, long time in the bluegrass scene, and also he played with Jason's grandpa too.
Yep.
So in the Wood family, bluegrass music is very rich and has been in the family for a long time, and I just married into it, and so I didn't really have a choice.
Don't worry.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, the fact that you can marry into something and embrace it and completely understand the love of what the family has for the music and now being part of it has got to be a great feeling.
It is. It's really neat. I didn't grow up in a musical family, but I grew up wanting to pursue music, and from the time I was 2-3 years old, already showing a really, really intense passion for performing and singing and being on stage. And so I didn't have the upbringing that Jason did, where music was always in my home, and I wasn't surrounded by instrumentalists, let alone multi-instrumentalists like he was.
Mm-hmm.
So it certainly was a match made in heaven that I fell in love with and married a person that music will always be a part of our home.
So one of the coolest things about husband and wives is the fact that you're together. You could collaborate numerous different ways on and off the stage, and bringing that to the stage for the fans. And Brooke, Darin, tell us a little bit about you guys. How you guys met? Because I believe at the time, Darin, you were with the Country Gentlemen when you met Brooke, correct?
No, actually, Charlie had already passed.
Okay.
Charlie died in 2004 in August, and we finished some dates out with his son Randy through February of 2005. And Randy kind of wanted to do his own thing, and me and Greg Corbett was with the Country Gentlemen for about 13 years. I formed a band called the Circuit Riders, along with Greg Luck. I think Greg Luck was playing with Third Time Out at the time, and Billy G was playing bass for the Gentlemen, and we got our buddy Jarrett Carter in to play dobro, which was a long lifetime buddy and picker of ours. So we had a band at that time called Circuit Riders. It toured for about a year, and it was later, I guess that fall or something, that I met you.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke and I had been emailing back and forth, and had known about one of the other for a couple of years, I guess.
Yeah, our families grew up in the same area. Darin's mom and dad moved away about 2 hours where we live now in Cherryville, from where I grew up in Avery County, North Carolina. And so, like, all of Darin's family on his mom and dad's side were from the same area. So anytime I saw any of them out, I went to school with his cousins. They were always telling me about Darin. You got to meet Darin. Y'all would just hit it off perfectly. And so while I was still in college, I emailed back and forth a couple of times with him, just asking him questions about the music business and kind of how to get started, because that's really where my heart was, and that's what I wanted to do. And then later on, who would have ever known that we would have met in person? He came to fill in with a band that I had put together with a good friend of mine from my home church. And after we did that, we became really good friends, and I realized that we had the same goals and ambitions, and everything started kind of playing out in about 2006. Yeah. I guess we got to know each other a lot better.
I took her to Figma one year to the Bluegrass event they had in February, and
that's a good date right there.
Yeah. As we started performing, occasionally we'd get Brooke up to sing, on stage, and she immediately stole the show from us. And I saw that, maybe me and Brooke need to put a band together.
So
that might have been a good idea.
Yeah. So tell us about your guys' first date, if you don't mind. Darin and Brooke first.
Our first date was actually the first day that we met, I suppose. We had a church we played that morning, and then Darin, he kind of asked me. I'd met him before, in person, because like I said, we'd only talked over email. And he was like, "Well, do you want me to go to the gig later tonight with y'all?" And I was like, "I don't care. You can go if you want." It was in Tennessee. The first one that morning was in North Carolina at a church, and then we had another one in Tennessee that night. So I was like, "If you want to go, that's fine," And he wanted me to be like, "Yes, please go,"
I wasn't to go,
So he ended up coming along, and he bought my dinner that day. I was like, "You don't have to buy my dinner, like I can handle it myself, because I had just came out of a relationship, so I was trying to take things slow. I definitely didn't know that a relationship was going to evolve out of this, but
she was still kind of in a relationship.
I was still hanging on,
but I took care of him.
I know that feeling.
He took care of him.
To this day, he still won't tell me what he told the guy that I was seeing previously, but he said he had a talk with him.
He didn't come around anymore, did he?
No.
That's all right. When I was dating Mackenzie, she actually took a phone call from a previous boyfriend while I was standing there. I was like, yeah. I remember. She's forgotten a lot of things, and I'm going to have to expose her.
I don't remember this.
I remember it.
All right. So what about yours and Mackenzie's first date?
Yeah. So I was playing with Audie Blaylock at the time, and Mackenzie and I had met on Facebook actually, and she was mutual friends with some of Dole Lawson's band members and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, you know, she's a cute girl holding a guitar. I'm just gonna friend request her. I really had no intention, and we just got to talking, and I told her that I saw that she was going to school in southern Missouri, and I told her we were going to Branson to play at Silver Dollar City. And she was like, oh, well, I go there all the time. I'm only like 30 minutes away from there. And I was like, well, great. We're playing there in May, or yeah, it was in May.
May, okay.
May 14th.
14th.
When did we get married?
June 16th, 2012.
No. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's right. So we went, so it was in May. So it was like a month. We talked, we texted, we talked on the phone a few times, and we Skyped. And Skype was popular then.
Yeah, that was before FaceTime.
Yeah, this was like the pixelated Skype. This was really, really bad. And I wanted to Skype with her first, but just to make sure that she wasn't a man. Because I wasn't sure, you know, it was 1,000 miles apart, and I wasn't sure. I was like, it's just not my thing. I'm sorry.
You can't trust anyone that you meet on the internet.
Yeah.
I would not recommend what we did to anyone.
No.
Very dangerous.
Well, I was gonna say, I think it's kind of interesting because the fact that Darin and Brooke was emailing each other before they really started dating, and then the fact you two met online. I mean, it's, you know, kind of interesting how, you know, I guess that's the modern technology though, because it's people's schedules just crazy busy. You know, they, you know, if they don't really get a chance to go out and do much, and you're trying to find someone who has the same interests, and that you kind of end up in that boat, I guess you could say, right?
I'll be very honest. When I friend requested her, I was like, this girl is a knockout. She's not going to accept my friend request. And I was like, there's even no point, Boyd, of even trying it, or even trying to talk to her or get her phone number or anything. And then I always tell everybody, so we went to Branson. She ended up coming to our show and watching it. And that was kind of our first date. We walked around Silver Dollar City, and then from there on, she couldn't keep her hands off of me.
That's how he likes to tell the story.
Well, you know, there is always two ways of the story. That's for sure.
Hey, Sarah, whatever it be.
Oh my gosh.
But my side of the story, I was very skeptical as well. And I normally did not, or was very cautious about accepting friend requests from anyone, especially men that I didn't know. And I had
hair.
He had
hair.
He did have hair. But you want to be careful, and you don't know what people's intentions are. And so when I saw that friend request, I thought, okay, here's another Bluegrass guy that I don't even know sending me a friend request. But I decided to accept it, and then he sent me a message right away, and I was like, here we go. But he turned out to be okay. But I did set up.
It turned out to be okay.
It turned out to be fine. But I was smart. I set up for a friend of mine to come to Silver Dollar City with me because there's safety in numbers.
Yep.
And I was like,
your friend stood you up.
So then the day before, she was like, oh, I can't come. And I was like, oh man, you know, I've talked to this guy for a month now, and we've been planning, you know, on meeting each other. And so I really did like have this discussion with myself. I was like, here we go. I go to Silver Dollar City all the time. If something were to happen, they at least know who to look for. Because I had been a season pass holder for my entire life. I was like, they'll know exactly who has gone missing. They'll be able to find me. It'll be okay.
I even flew my dad out there, so he was a part of the first date as well.
Yeah, so I met him and his dad at the same time, which also, that was very reassuring because, you know, that kind of, someone's parents can say a lot about,
oh yeah,
you know, about their child. And so, you know, say, okay, I mean that in a way that like, not verbally saying how they are, but you can tell how they've been raised.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I
So
do.
when I met Mike, I could just tell right away this was a good Christian family, really good morals and values, a really solid upbringing, and so I felt safe.
That's good. That's cool. So tell us something that might have happened on one of your dates that kind of like really sparked each other's interest in each other. So Darin and Brooke, I'll have you guys go first.
I knew the first day.
The first email?
No, not the first email, but the first time that I saw her and we got to sing together. Actually, the two other guys was singing with her in her band, and I was Clay Manlin, and I knew right quick that I wanted to sing harmony with her. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of spark was really good. But on the front row in the front pew when the preacher was there and asked us, well, somebody next to you was going to pray. So it was just me and Brooke down on the front row. So we got to hold hands immediately right there. It's kind of special as well. What would you think after that?
I said I was putting you guys in hot seats.
Well, that was definitely a special moment because we really didn't know each other that well, you know. And it's like here I am, like, and my best friend Natalie was there that day too, and she said, "What if this is the guy you marry?" You know, and I was like, "What? He could be a serial killer for all I know." You know, like, what are you saying?
He ate a whole box of Frosted Flakes before the show.
Yeah, so I mean that really was a special moment. Now that I look back on it and think how God really did put that together, because you know what were the chances that we were going to be standing there by ourselves when just a minute ago, like our whole band was standing there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about you, Jason and Mackenzie? What's sparked you guys
for this? Go ahead, honey.
Okay. Like the thing that
No,
really
when was the first? Repeat the question, please.
When was the first time the spark for you, happened about Jason was the one?
I think probably the first time we talked on the phone and I heard his voice with his Southern accent.
Like Gomer Pyle, you have a real nice voice.
Because I'm from the Midwest, and so to Midwestern girls, that Southern drawl is just really attractive. And so when we first talked on the phone and I heard his voice and that Southern drawl, I melted a little bit.
Just a titch, huh?
Yeah, there was a time I remember. Probably for me, it was the same time talking on the phone and then Skyping with her. I was talking to her was okay. I was like, okay, her voice matches her kind of the face, but I still need to see her. And so once we Skyped, that was kind of with her. And then once we were at Silver Dollar City, it was like, oh, I was head over heels in love with you. And then, but I remember one time we were talking on the phone and she was driving back from Kansas City where her parents lived at the time, was going back to Missouri to go back to school. And I distinctly remember her saying this, that we were talking on the phone and it was like a 3.5 hour ride and we talked like the whole way. And she said something to the effect of, I hope we can talk on the phone again. And I said, well, yeah, we can. She says, well, when we don't talk, I kind of miss it. And I was like,
and
I was like, we'll talk again.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I mean, it's that when you first hear that person's voice, believe me, I'm in radio, so it's the key thing,
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. So so now that we got the relationship stories going,
there's more that I could. I mean, gagging when I asked her to marry me.
Stop.
I mean,
What is so obviously, you know, with COVID-19 happening and obviously shows being canceled and things like this, what has there been something that you guys have been doing that you normally don't get a chance to do because you're on the road performing, you're from going to show, concerts to concerts, and town to town? What is something that you guys been able to embrace during this time? Darin and Brooke, what's something you guys been doing and enjoying?
Well, we've been doing quite a bit of things. We've been, diving more into our songwriting because we don't always get a lot of time to do that. I still work another job. So I get time to sit down and write. It's very rare. So since we've been home since March, we've wrote a lot of songs and decided to share those on our next album. But we've also Darin's been playing a lot more golf. I've been going with him here and there, but not as much as he has. And then kayaking, of course, we live pretty close to a lake, so we go over and kayak and ride the boat quite a bit at his dad's house. So that's been really relaxing and nice and something we love doing. But like I said, we just don't get a lot of time to do it.
We
I'm
started.
coming to y'all's house.
Come on over.
They like to kayak.
Also, we've been interviewing people from North Carolina, musicians, older musicians, and listening to a lot of their history and different places that they kind of grew up and jam sessions they had at different venues that meant something to them in North Carolina. So we've been doing that. We've got 5 or 6 of those. Jason Burleson. We've got Mark Pruitt, Alan Babby, and several more lists to come. You know, we're releasing them every Wednesday. So
that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Good stuff.
He's also got a little thing he likes to do on Facebook every now and then called Darin's Guitar Corner, where he introduces a new guitar that he has. He's only got a few, so.
I was going to ask you how many, because I've watched that a couple times. How many total do you have in your collection?
All together?
Yeah.
That's like your guns. You don't share how many guns you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
What is your most favorite one?
You know, it's on up there with everything: pianos, saxophones, and fiddles, and banjos, and guitars, and mandolins. I got close to probably 100.
Do you have a favorite one over any of them?
Special guitar I got a couple years ago. A good mentor friend of mine that was from Charlotte. I met him while I was playing the Country Gentleman, and he kind of instilled in me in collecting instruments. He kind of helped me get started collecting more things. And he willed me his 1935 Shade Top D18, and it's a very special guitar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's probably one of my top favorites.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Precious, man. Yes. So, Jason and Mackenzie, what have you guys been doing during your time besides, raising 2 daughters?
Well, for me, back in May, I actually lost my job. So I actually spent about a month and a half being home and was doing some landscaping stuff on the side. And I actually, it's the first time since we've been married and actually had kids that I've actually been able to spend quality time with them, because I'm working all the time. And I was like, this is a time that I'll never get back. So I really enjoyed spending time with my girls. Planting tomatoes, I always wanted to do, make time for that. And I'm like, okay, no, I can't do it. I'm too busy. Well, I had plenty of time to do that, and just spend a lot of time outside and some different things around the house. And also, I started helped start a radio show here locally. It's called Piedmont Folkways Radio Show that I'm kind of like a co-host with, and we're doing like roots music, bluegrass, Americana, and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's every Wednesday night that I get there. So I'm learning to be on the radio, which is kind of scary, but
you're doing a great job. They've done 7 or 8 episodes now, I think.
10.
10. Wow.
Yeah, we started May the 11th, I think.
And last night they had a guest who played the clawhammer. What was his name?
Stephen Arms, clawhammer banjo. He came down. He was really good. He's a really good banjo player.
It was a really good show.
And so yeah, that's what I've been doing. But I'm back in. I work in the financial services industry, so I did. Thank the Lord, I got back into got a job back in doing that, and I've been with that company for about 3 weeks now. And Miss Kenzie over here has been.
I do a little bit of a lot of different things, but the one thing that I really have picked up on a lot here lately has been baking and cake decorating, which baking and cooking has always been a hobby of mine that I've loved to do, and I've just always enjoyed it, but I never have taken the time to learn how to decorate a cake or cookies or anything like that. And so I just decided to teach myself, and it caught on, and now I'm like making 2 or 3 cakes a weekend and a couple of batches of cookies a week. I just took a cake decorating class from one of our local professional bakeries in town, and that was really fun. So I kind of fell into it. I didn't intend on that, but my coping mechanism in general during like stressful times or anything is food. And I know that is not necessarily like the healthiest coping mechanism, but that's just how I am. And so I was coping through all of this by baking and by cooking. And it just got to a point to where I was like, okay, I really need to stop like eating all of this.
Our grocery bill tripled.
Well, yeah, because we were home all the time. We were home. But when you eat 3 meals a day plus 2,500 snacks for your toddler children, we are going through a lot of groceries. But anyway, I was just like, it's okay if I want to bake it, but someone else needs to eat this. I need to stop eating it. Quarantine 15 is the real thing. And so I just posted it to my Facebook, and I was like, does anybody want to buy this cake that I made? I mean, I'm not a professional or anything, but it's going to taste good. And people started buying it. And so that's what I'm doing. And I've been songwriting too.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
I forgot to mention, we went into this, we finally found time to go into the studio a few weeks ago. So we got 5 tracks cut, and got a rough mix on them, and we're gonna go in here in probably a month or 2 and finish it up. So it's been something that we actually wanted to do last year, but we were busy. But now that we have 0 shows for 2020, we decided we would record. We're gonna be releasing a single soon. So
that's awesome.
Really
well, of course, you guys got the new music coming. Darin and Brooke, you've been writing new music. But you guys also have a Secure Rounder record album, Inner Journey, that's out. Numerous cuts, love them. You know that. If nobody has it, they need to sniff it. I gotta tell you, and I've already told Darin and Brooke, my most favorite song on the album is Emmylou. It just hits everything, every note, every key. Plus, there's more, but that is like the key one that stole my heart. But that's how that's how music works. It steals your heart as soon as you hear a song or hear a melody or hear the licks of the songs, and at this time, it was between now and August 4th, 4 years ago, Darin and Brooke's album Faster Than Farther Than You came out, and of course, it came out at the time where, of course, today we lost my mom. So, having just got sweeter, I needed that song at the time. So it's amazing. You want to encourage everybody to continuously put new music out, put it out, because you never know who it's going to touch and when it's going to touch them. It could be an album that maybe from years ago that you haven't stumbled across on, and you're going to find that song that touches you for that meaning today. So with being home and writing music, and you feel the loss of all these shows. I know, of course, Darin and Brooke, you guys been able and lucky enough to do some drive-in shows, as well as your shut-in on Sundays, your wonderful piece that you guys put together. What is something that you have discovered and are recovering from the loss of the gigs, and maintain the knowing that this is going to end, this is not going to last forever? And how are you guys feeling about recovering from this during this time to prepare for yourselves to get out there in the new year. We're going to run into the new year faster than anything because, you know, we're more than halfway there now. So Darin and Brooke, what is something that you guys have recovered from and are discovering from the loss of the shows to what is going to be ahead?
Well, I think when it does come back and we can get out and do more shows, everybody is going to appreciate it more. From artists, fans, the theaters, the venues, festivals. It's going to be a brand new day for everybody. And during this time, we've got to communicate with fans and make new ones and people just like this on social media that you really didn't look at that before because it was just pastime. But now it's a way you do it every week or every other day, and you know you get more people commenting and seeing you live from your home. So it's a totally different way of communicating, and I think it's gained a lot more fans that way too. And people discover different artists by just doing more people at home. So that's what I think. It's going to be a great new day when we get to get out there and be on the road again.
Has this gotten you guys to learn technology a little bit more, social media a little bit more, and understanding how it all operates?
Definitely. You know, I've seen that our numbers have went up as far as followers and stuff like that go too. Because like Darin said, you know, people may not always have time to get on social media, but since they've been home, maybe they've created these new social media pages. Never thought that they would be interested in social media, but you know, what else did they have to do? I think it's really made us as well as everybody appreciate that sometimes it's okay to stop and slow down and just take life in. You know, that you don't always have to be somewhere. And I think that's been an eye-opener for everybody. So at first we were kind of sad about being home, but at the same time, it's been kind of nice to catch up and realize that, you know, we're married and we should take more time for the things that we love and each other. So.
Well, and before I have Jason and Mackenzie answer this, so do you guys feel, Brooke and Darin, that, like you said, you're married, you're on the road and performing together, but here you come to a stop and it's kind of like, we're married, you know, it's like kind of basically like meeting each other personally on not a business level. Here we are, you know, personally. Has that, like, do you think it's embraced your marriage and tightened it even more so during this time?
Absolutely. I mean, we're always together, you know, being on the road. But sometimes, like you said, from the business aspect of it, it's not like we get a lot of us time. You know, we're usually with the band or, you know, traveling down the road. Darin's usually driving and I'm sleeping in the back because I got it made. He treats me like a queen. So, you know, it's just really been an eye-opener to, like you said, to stop and think of how nice it is that we can enjoy each other's love and marriage and be home for a minute. So.
Right. And it's like your home finally was like, wow, I have owners, right?
Right. And then it's like, we're getting on my last nerve. So.
To get used to it that first month, you know, everybody was stuck at home. I'm 23 now, and I've been traveling since I was 18. I'm going somewhere every weekend, something, you know, going traveling. It's in my blood to go, you know. So here it was tough for the first couple of weeks. I've got used to it now. You probably won't play half as much as you used to.
So, Jason and Mackenzie, how about for you guys? What is something that, you know, has really, during this loss, kind of you're rediscovering what you could do for the in the near future when everything kind of moves back into a high speed?
I'd say very similar to what Darin and Brooke said. I think that, you know, despite losing all the shows and going into next year, if everything goes as planned and we can get back into festivals and venues, I think it's just, for me, it's been don't take for granted the ability to be able to go play a show because it can go away very quickly. And you just, you know, there's people that love to listen. We love to play it, you know, and it gets ripped from us just the way it does from the listeners. So it was kind of like, hey, you know, don't take it for granted and enjoy it. some positive. There's actually been more positives out of this than there has been any negatives, and I think that's a lot about your mind. It's about your mindset and how you look at everything. And for me, it's given me a lot more clarity on life. I'm choosing now happiness over other things, and I'm like, I'm gonna choose happiness versus this versus that, because it's better being happy than being miserable over something just to make it work. And slowing down, I've actually enjoyed not having the hustle and bustle and going everywhere in this way. It's like, it's just nice, and I've enjoyed it.
Sometimes you need that pause.
It's kind of given me, like how Darin and Jason are both saying, like how they enjoyed the slowdown, and how Darin said he might only want to do a happy amount of shows. It's kind of had the opposite effect for me. I'm ready to get out, and I wouldn't be mad if we had like double the amount of bookings next year or triple, because I was already home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so at the beginning of the shutdowns and everything, it didn't really like hit me hard the way that it hit a lot of other people who had to like.
It didn't hit either of us that way.
Yeah, and he could already, with his previous job, he could already work remotely from home if he needed to. And so for him to have to move home to work wasn't a huge deal. And I was already home full time with the girls. And so it took a few weeks for it to set in. But then like once all of our shows and everything got canceled, having a show is one of my main outlets for getting out. It's a reason for me to put on something nice to wear. It's a reason for me to put on makeup, put myself together, and do something that doesn't involve wiping butts and faces and making snacks.
Don't tell them what all you have to do for me.
And so for me, like I'm very ready. I'm ready to get back
Take it easy there, Tiger.
I'm ready to get out.
Ready.
So I have the
I'm kind of like Darin. I'm like, I don't really care if we drive 4 hours to get place from out. But I will say
I will.
Yeah, I will say that I have actually, I've actually been picking a lot more just by myself and practicing multiple different instruments. I play an instrument every day, and it's like it's now a part of my routine. Where before it, I may pick the mandolin up once a week, and then before a show may do what I need to do to kind of get brushed up on it good enough just to get through something. But now I'm finding, after I put the girls to bed, I'll go outside and pick the banjo for an hour and a half or something and be like, man, it's 12 o'clock, I gotta go to bed. But it's just, I kind of feel like we're living back in the 20s again. I'm an old soul, so I wouldn't mind that.
So as you guys prepare and, you think about everything that's kind of been shelved, in the music industry, everything's on hold and shelved. What is something that you found and are finding that you're a little bit more passionate about the music, about what you do for, entertainment, of entertaining others? What is, something that, when you think about it, everything got put on hold. I'm used to like going to work, going to shows. July is usually my busiest month. I'm hardly home. I'm out at festivals and things like that. But it kind of was a rude awakening. Okay, all that's been shelved, and now it's like, how much more, and how do you pursue, and what are you pursuing to, regain the happiness of where you were and where you want to be with the music?
Well,
Darin and Brooke.
The good thing about that is that we can still connect through social media. So even though like we do our Sunday shut-ins and you can't hear an applause after you do a song, you can still read the comments and you can tell that you're making other people happy still through your music, because you're giving them comfort in a time that, in an upheaval for all the world. Everybody's worried about what's going to happen next. And if, people are losing jobs, or, you just don't know from day to day. You're scared to go out. Like I was telling Darin the other day, it's just weird to go to a store now and not feel worried, even though we wear masks and we do what we're supposed to. Like it's never going to be the same. And honestly, COVID's never going to go away. Like it's always going to be around, just like the flu is, you know.
Yep.
But it's been comforting for us, I know, and as well as for other people to connect through social media still. So we're grateful for that. And
Yeah, I think we're as passionate about the music as we've ever been.
absolutely.
We was very passionate about it before, so that's not went away or gained me, I don't think. As artists, it's something you set out to do, and you grow as artists, and you grow in the song selections you chose or you write. And I think that's got better for me and Brooke that we have more time to study on that in the last 5 or 6 months.
So Jason and Mackenzie, what about you guys?
For me, from a musical standpoint, it's during obviously from this time, I've really kind of branched outside of bluegrass just a little bit. I've always been bluegrass and learning more, and I've always been a fan of like older country. I don't like the new country. I'm sorry. I like the older country stuff, and just branching outside, listening to some of that, learning to play some of that, and even like Piedmont blues and stuff like that, and some old gospel stuff. I'm just finding I've always loved older music, but I'm finding myself, okay, now I'm actually listening to it more, and because there's the time to do it. But it's just fun. I mean, music has always been a part of my life, a part of my day, every day. And, whether it's singing something, playing something. I mean, I have an instrument in my office where when I take lunch, I pick during my lunch break because it just clears my mind. But it's just I don't know. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have music. And I'm not. I talking about the Facebook and social media stuff. There's times that I'll be sitting here after we put the girls to bed, and I'll just grab the guitar and start just picking a song or something. I'll just go live because I'm like, hey, I'm tired of playing for myself. If somebody wants to listen to my horrible guitar playing, you can listen to it. And I'm just like, hey, that's just like me sitting here jamming in my living room. If y'all want to listen, you can. And people get enjoyment out of it.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
I've tuned into that a couple times.
Have you? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I remember the first time I met your family probably was about 97, 96, something like that, at Bass Mountain Festival.
Yep.
And we was walking around jamming, and I remember y'all had a serious jam, your grandpa and your dad and all the family.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I was introduced to the Wood family.
Yeah.
Y'all had one of the best jams going in the whole park.
Well, I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, and I had so many good memories as a kid and a teenager going to all the bluegrass festivals. But I first met Darin and Brooke at the Cherryville. What was it? The Cherryville Bluegrass Festival? Was that what the name of it was?
Yes. Festival.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, and that was a long time ago, and that was a great play. Chris Bryant was playing with y'all then, and Chris played with us for a while, and he's still a real good friend of ours, and I love him to death. But I can remember just like it was the other day. I'm getting old.
So speaking of meeting people, who has been someone that you have met, not Darin and Brooke or not Jason and Mackenzie, that kind of like has inspired you, but you have someone that you actually have met that has inspired you to continue doing what you do? We'll go with Jason and Mackenzie first on this one.
Oh, but I need a minute to think. I've not met very many people, you see. Don't choose me first. Don't choose me first. Jason, you go.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Would you repeat the question?
Who have you met that has inspired you to like play music or to keep playing music? Besides Darin and Brooke.
During this time or my life?
Just your entire life.
Oh, so many people. I mean,
you only can pick one.
Oh, Tony Rice. And my grandpa, A.O. Wood. Those are the biggest two.
Who have I met?
The biggest two in my whole life.
No one.
The very first, I remember the very first time I ever tried singing. My parents had one of those big cheese wagon conversion vans, you know, had the TV in the top, you know.
There was a reason.
There was a reason for it. And we had my grandpa's Kentucky Country Home album on a cassette, and it was in the cassette player, and it was playing. And I remember I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and I climbed up in between the seats between mom and dad, and I said, I can sing the high part, because my grandpa was singing high baritone on Lonesome River. And they were like, I remember Daddy turned around and said, oh, you can sing that? And I sit there and I was mimicking exactly what my grandpa was doing. And they were going, he's singing it. He's singing it. And I was like, they're doing it. There you go, Goober. They're doing it. They're doing it. But no, so yeah, my grandpa and Tony Rice, I mean, just the stuff he did, both of them did. They're my biggest influences.
I would say, now that I've had a moment to like sit on this, I've not met very many people, honestly. I'm so sheltered, but I did meet Ricky Skaggs one time, and I am a really big fan of his, and he has inspired me. But I would say like the person who started the inspiration for me. Let's see if you're thinking what I'm thinking. His stage name is Redneckers. And Darin and Brooke, if y'all have played at Silver Dollar City, I'm sure you have, back in like the 90s and early 2000s, he was a stage performer there, and he was a one-man show, and his name was Redneckers. And beautiful, amazing voice, wonderful guitar player. His real name is Keith Allen, and he doesn't play at Silver Dollar City anymore, but you know, I talked about earlier how I started having that interest when I was 2-3 years old, when I was the girl's age. And I grew up going to Silver Dollar City. I lived not far from there. And my parents tell stories of me being at Silver Dollar City, watching the shows, and just being like so zoned in. And Redneckers was one of the performers that I really connected with. And, you know, looking back on my childhood, he's one of the ones that inspired me. And like watching him, I remember thinking to myself, that's what I want to do when I grow up.
You can also still get that same look from her if you turn on Grey's Anatomy or something like that.
So how about for you, Darin and Brooke?
Well, I mean, that's a little bit bigger than the question that you asked. Brooke and I have got to live a lot of our dreams in the last decade or so. And we have met and become friends with so many people that we've looked up to, and they've inspired us. And it's just been a blessing for that. Mm-hmm. I'd say, I mean, we're good friends with Vince and Ricky and Marty Stewart, and you've been around Emmy Lou, and you know, all those people we've always loved, but someone we've not that we would like to meet would be Dolly. Both really love. I was so lucky to get to play with Charlie. I was around all the legends really before they passed. You got to pick a lot of them. You get to be in on that. You didn't get to see as many, but it's kind of hard to narrow it down to maybe one person, you know.
That's why it's real. It's real, and we're putting you in the hot seat.
It's always a big inspiration, you know, to me. And we become pretty good buddies and talk about golf and guitars and worldly things, and you know, get to hang out occasionally, especially when we're in town. But and another guy I've got to work with, John Jorgensen, in the last couple years. John, I don't know if you know much about him. And Elton John fan. He's the hardest worker. We'll meet a gig with him. He's just in Europe or Australia and overnight, and we'll do another show. Wow, I mean, telling how many shows he does a year. What a great inspiration he's been. And he'll play piano on a project, clarinet on a project, and then he comes in and plays mandolin in a bluegrass band. And he's just outstanding guitarist from jazz to anything. and
Right.
make music and world travel the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a fan of Darin's mandolin and guitar playing. First time I ever heard him, I was like, man, he is killer on the mandolin and killer guitar player. And one of the very first times I remember, I think we were playing at Pretty Fest in North Carolina, and Darin complimented me on my singing. I was like, holy cow, I can't believe I got a compliment from him on my singing, and that just made me feel, I was very humbled by it. But I love y'all's music, and y'all wonderful singers and wonderful musicians. Y'all are amazing talents.
I remember that
Yeah,
well.
too.
I think that's the last time we saw James Kennedy.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well,
That was a really special show.
it's been really special for us the last couple of years too to get to travel with Jimmy Fortune and John Cowan. They've been big inspirations to both of us and really kind of helped me come out of my shell even more than Darin has too, because they're both such powerful singers and people that I've admired in the business for a long time. So that would be some of my favorites too.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So
would say-
as we're talking about performing and folks that you've looked up to and admire and that, so what do you guys feel about a lot of when you go to shows and you're on stage and that, how do you guys decide on your stage attire for the performances that you do compared to whether it's a festival to a auditorium concert to a church? I mean, how do you guys decide on how you and the band are going to be dressing for your how do I want to say it, the imprint that you're going to set on everybody's memory of seeing you guys live? So Darin and Brooke, go first.
Well, you use common sense, really. If it's
What's that?
in a festival, and it's 110, I'm not going to wear a three-piece suit on stage. I mean, I just don't have to. So you just look nice and look comfortable and presentable, I think, is the thing, It's not going to sell you. It's the people and the music that you are and represent.
Do you have like a go-to pair of shoes, Darin, that you wear to make you comfortable on stage?
Now.
Well, I do now. Since I've met Brooke, she's got me into all kind of shoes. So I have a lot of pair of shoes.
He
that I
does.
can wear.
He's got as many as I do.
I don't have that, but I have quite a few more.
Well, I think, like Darin said, too, it depends on like if you're outdoor or indoor. If it's hot outside in the summertime, you're going to wear like more like, I would wear like a summer dress or something that's still dressy, but not like sequenced out for me. Now, if we play a more like a more formal kind of thing, or indoors, sometimes like at a venue, a theater or something, then I will wear like a more formal gown or something like that, just depending on our audience too.
Right.
So, yeah. But it's fun to get all gussied up.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys always look good during IBMA for the award show. Always looking great, looking fabulous.
As performers, you want to dress and represent yourself as a performer and not just somebody that just walked up there off the street or off the crowd.
Right. So you don't want to be wearing Crocs or anything, right?
You don't need to be on stage anyway if you look like that. So.
That's real.
Well, that's true. Come on.
I love it.
You don't need to be on stage anyway if you dress like that, Jason.
What about you, Jason and Mackenzie? I mean, who takes care of you? You guys got definitely a certain look that you guys always stick with, and that.
It's because she got me into these tight breeches, and I can't get into any of them. So that's Mackenzie. She is we call her our wardrobe designer and fashion stylist. Yeah, for the group. It's everything's got to match and it's got to coordinate and it's got to have certain color. And I'm like, I don't want to wear this. It's 95 degrees outside, but you need to wear this tie and this long sleeve shirt and this wool vest.
I don't want to wear those nice shoes, Mackenzie. I want to wear my Crocs. Why can't I wear my Crocs? Ain't nobody going to be looking at my shoes.
I don't wear my Crocs. Now that's her
The
crock.
lies you tell.
If you want to get deep, I can make it happen.
I normally do try to get everyone coordinated, and I normally start with whatever I'm gonna wear, and then I pick their colors off of my dress. And so I have a certain long pink dress that I wear frequently because I just love it, and so I have a color palette that matches it that I have all the guys wear, and as a result, we all are very coordinated.
So my brother-in-law, Brian Aldridge, he played man on the sideline for several years, and he plays the band with us now. He played with Constant Chain. And sometimes my dad will wear one like a felt hat. My Uncle Bobby will too. And I don't know.
And you wear a bow tie.
I wear a bow tie, or I'll wear
and a vest.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Or just a necktie. And I told Brian, I said, Brian, we got to get you a hat. Just joking with him because I knew he was not gonna. He wear always like a ball cap
or a visor. That's his favorite
visor.
thing to wear too. An outdoor bluegrass festival is a visor with
visor.
his bald head shiny on top.
I told him, I said, we're gonna get you a cowboy hat to wear, and he goes, well, I can't repeat what he said, but he ain't wearing one of them hats. And sometimes it's a little hard for some of the guys to put on a necktie, except for like a church service. But if it's, I enjoy getting dressed up and stuff. It is fun getting gussied up, like Brooke said.
So,
oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, of course, when you think about at being the artist that you guys are, and is it hard for you guys to recognize what you don't know about the business or about what you do? I mean, is it hard, Jason?
Yeah. I mean, you learn stuff all the time. I do.
Yeah.
It's quiet, but I don't think it's so fun.
No,
How about you,
Mackenzie? No, it's not hard to recognize what we don't know, because I definitely recognize how much I don't know about a lot of things, and I try to be very honest about it. And he'll get on me. He'll be like, you need to not be so hard on yourself, or be more positive. And I'm like that with anything, like with my cakes and stuff. I'll post a cake, and instead of saying all the great things about it, I'll list off all the things that went wrong, and then be at the bottom and be like, but it's all right if you want to buy it. And I'm that way with my music too. So but yeah, I don't have any problems at all recognizing where I have areas of opportunity.
I mean, obviously it's okay to say, yes, I do. I mean, because, there's some things that you think, I'm really good at this. But then it's like, ooh, wait a minute. Let me step back, But, when, we're talking to a mentor now, I mean, Darin, is there a time that you still are you're still learning and recognizing things that you don't know? I mean, you've been in the business for so long.
All the time, and that's the thing about any music opportunity in business, is it's changing every day. So it's very hard to keep up with technology, with just like this show here. Now, who would have thought a year ago we'd be doing something like this?
Yeah, not me.
I can't believe I'm sitting here live with Michelle and Darin and Brooke Aldridge.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Little TV looking show. So that's one thing we do at Leadership Bluegrass with IBMA is introduce new things and new technology each year in the class that goes on in March. And it's forever changing everything about PR, about the record labels, how DJs download and music. I mean, would have changed that 5 years ago? You thought you'd have been doing that, Michelle? Now
No, I mean, after doing leadership, I came out of there and I was like, okay, what do I start? Do I start on my shows on Facebook? How do I revamp them? And then it was like, okay, what can I do for the station? And how can we revamp, our look and things like that? Not necessarily the look, but to reach certain people and make sure they know how to, connect with us. And that's why one of the things is the first thing I did was combine both my shows into one Facebook page, because you know, that put me like at 4 pages, and I'm like, I can't do that. I mean, that was just like crazy. And then, everybody was like, well, you should have an Instagram and have it all connect. And I'm like, okay, this is like, I was like, mind blown, I was like, all right, got to study up on that. And leadership bluegrass. I mean, the fact that, my class, you reach out to them, or even the alumni, it gives you an opportunity to, pick everybody's brain and continuously learn, and what was the neatest and interesting thing, and it was one of the things that came to me, because of a listener had asked me, and they're huge fans of Darin and Brooke, and she would always request their songs every Sunday on the show, and she had happened to ask me a question about bluegrass music, and she's like, why don't I play, she goes, I want to just hear traditional bluegrass. And every band, every act performs traditional in their own style, in their own way. Darin and Brooke, you do it, Carolina Blue does, everybody does it in their own style. And I had to really think about how I was going to respond to her. And so I thought about leadership bluegrass, because one of the topics is the different genres and subgenres of bluegrass music. And, it's like, well, my show is reasonably called Bluegrass Borderline because it's a borderline of the genres. It's everything of bluegrass, the acoustic, the traditional, the contemporary, the progressive, thrown in a little bit of jamgrass and old time music. And I think, I kind of shocked her when I threw all those styles of bluegrass at her, because she was like, I didn't realize there was so many different styles. And, and it made her eyes wide open, and it made me think, okay, time to merge the shows to one, because, country, bluegrass, it all merges together. So that's why, I merged pages, because I think it's a key thing to do. And I just, I think it's important that people understand the different styles of bluegrass. And I think it was very focused on in our leadership class this past March, because when you go to Spotify or you go to Pandora, you see different artists that you're like, are they really bluegrass? Well, they are bluegrass. They're just in a different style of bluegrass,
Right.
And, you're not seeing certain people like, Ralph Stanley or the Osborne brothers. I mean, there's different categories of bluegrass. And I think a lot of listeners, I think they appreciate all the styles. And I think one of the coolest things about promoters with festivals and concerts is intertwining that, bringing the contemporary artists and the traditional artists on the stage, because then you're not losing your listeners. And that was one of my other things with my one listener who emailed me. I was like, I don't want to lose my listeners. I want to keep them. I want to keep them from, my Sunday show through my Friday show, whether they're listening to me on my online shows with the Bluegrass show during Wednesdays and Thursdays, but even the country show during the week, it's like it all ties in together. And that's why I started intertwining a lot more interviews on the show with bluegrass artists. Well, to be honest, we play classic country. Most of my artists are not alive. It's kind of hard to, interview someone, but the appreciation that the artists in bluegrass and, the 80s, 90s country have for those classic artists are amazing to hear the stories and how they're influenced by them, and so I think it's kind of interesting. And like you said, leadership bluegrass is something that folks, should embrace if they're in the industry, and apply for it. And I know that's going to be coming up. Darin, I know you're on the IBMA board of directors, and that's pretty much usually by the end of October, from September into October is the submission, correct?
It is. Mm-hmm.
So that's something, if you haven't been part of leadership bluegrass, is something to consider, submitting and getting the application in to see if you get accepted into the next class, because it is a wide opening, from branding, from just everything. The heated discussions. I mean, Darin, did you guys have not heated discussions in your class?
We did.
Yeah, I thought for sure we were going to see people flying across the room.
People to tears and people getting mad, but everybody coming together and seeing the big picture is the main thing.
Exactly. So, I know we are, there's a couple of things I wanted to also touch base and kind of get a little bit inner vibe from you, both or for you actually. How is it that you guys are using your inner strength to make sure the light that shines through your music doesn't dimmer for you personally during this time? Darin and Brooke?
Just continuing to reach out to people. We get emails every day about how our music has, touched somebody's life, how they look at us as a husband and wife. So just keeping that connection. I always try and respond to most people's comments. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming with comments on our post, but I try to go back and look at what people are saying, because if you take time to reach out and comment on something like a picture you put up or a video, then I feel like it deserves to be, responded to, and let them know that we appreciate their support and love. So I've always tried to do that, because this is, the fans are the reason we do what we do. And, you've reached out to somebody and touched them in some way, that to me makes what we do some worthwhile. That's why we do what we do. It's not about the fame, and it's not about how far we're going to go. It's about who you touch and who you connect with somewhere along the way.
And being around the people that we have that I mentioned earlier, like you said, Jimmy Fortune, and, getting to know Vince and Ricky and those guys that I looked up to since I was a kid playing music. I mean, they're real and true people all the time. That's the way they are constantly. It's not a put on show, for anything. And
Right.
me and Brooke love just to live our lives that way as well. We're the same on stage as we are off.
So before I have Jason and Mackenzie answer, Darin and Brooke, what is one thing that you guys could say, obviously, to Jason and Mackenzie, to kind of have them continuously light the fire of, of the husband and wife team? Obviously, they play with other family members, but, the key piece, what kind of advice can you give those two as they continue on in branching out in their career?
I would just say, continue to get to know as many people as you can. As far as a husband and wife too, just continue that respect, because, if you don't respect each other and you don't continue to support each other in your own, as your own artist too, because yes, we're always together, but we still have, we still bring something different to the band. And never forget that, like always be real and true to who you are.
Right. Well, you're a couple, but you're also individuals that have, your own light to shine as individualities as well. I think that's the key thing.
Together, as what you represent, that makes it that much more better. As to shine as one, together.
Mm-hmm. So, Jason and Mackenzie, how is this, how do you guys feel about your inner strength of making sure your guys' light shines as you guys move forward?
Well, I will say, first of all, thank you for the advice, Darin and Brooke. We really appreciate that, and that was great advice. I think that I'll write that down so that I don't forget it. Sorry, we have a fly. If you've seen us like doing this the whole time, there's a fly that won't leave us alone. But anyway, for me, it's about spreading joy, spreading kindness, and just always emitting that and spreading positivity. And through the music specifically, especially when this first started and all the kids were sent home from school to learn remotely for the rest of the year, my first thought was, okay, they're not going to be having music class anymore, or their music segment of the day has now been cut out, and that may not have been true for like some of the upperclassmen, but I know for us personally, for our daughter Ruby, who is in preschool, she no longer had music lessons, even though that there were some academic lessons that were sent home for us to do from home. And so I thought, okay, well, this is my opportunity to step in and have some music time for the little kids. And so I decided to go live once a week or so and do some music time and story time and do little kids songs. And I did that for several weeks, and we're waiting to hear back about how this preschool year is going to look like coming up. But that's something that I, definitely would love to do again if there's an interest there, to continue to just let the music be there for the kids, because that's where my heart is you have to pass it down to the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, I mean, I love performing for people, and I love singing and playing, and I love bringing joy and happiness to people, and through song, music. I'm very thankful that God gave me a little bit of a talent to be able to share that. And me, I've always tried to keep the mindset of, don't let whatever gift that you've been given go to your head, because it can be easily taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is I'm going to play music as long as I'm able to play music. For me, one, because I love it, and two, for other people, and one, I want to share the gift that God gave me. But I'm always, what's keeping me. I don't look at the future of like what's going to happen or how am I going to keep my light going, because I feel like I'm the fuel to my own flame. So if I'm gonna keep going, that's up to me, and if I quit, that's up to me. But I'm gonna always, music is always going to be a part of my life, and it may not ever amount to anything for me, but if it does, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I try. Going back to the leadership part, I don't think people really understand how hard.
We hear thunder.
We hear thunder. I don't think people realize how hard the business side of just the music is. Because me and my dad handle a lot of the business side of it, and sometimes that will put your light out going forward. You're like, I am done. I don't care if we play another show at all. I just sit here and pick. But there's so much to keep everything going, and it's like running an organization, even if you're family, and you can't just fire your dad. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's what I look for me. I'm a person. I'm a realist. I'm a realist type of person. I don't really look at the future. I'm looking at the present and learning from my past and trying to just live each day at a time. So, my dream would be able to play on the Opry. I don't know if I could get through anything, but I'd love to stand there.
To set goals for yourself.
Yes.
Would be to do that. And Brooke and I, all we really wanted to do is play in churches in Western North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And we set out to do that. I was kind of in another band at that time, and then we set some more goals to start a band and start playing regionally and get a record contract, record a record, and that went well. So we stepped it up even more. Well, let's play the whole U.S. if we can. Get other players involved and, keep reaching for the top, and we moved on to other record labels, and, then we got other things in sight for our music, and, had those dreams of playing at the Opry, getting to play at the Diamond, or, playing on big festivals such as Bluegrass or those type of things. And, we want to achieve those at times that you can reach, and then set other goals as you reach.
Yeah, don't be afraid to do that. And one of my favorite quotes is, dreams don't work unless you do. And I think that's true in every aspect. So don't be afraid to, to push for those things that you're really passionate about and love.
Yeah, for me, when I remember I was like 20, 21 years old, I was working full time in industrial sales, and I was like, you know what, if I'm ever going to do this, I want to do it, but because I knew I wanted to have a family, I wanted to have kids. I quit my job. I just quit my job to go play music professionally, and it's like, no insurance, no nothing. I'm like, I've never done this before. So I mean, I took that leap of faith because I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And I got to travel a lot of places, Canada all the way, and I played with James King, got to meet a lot of people, and it was fun, but I also enjoy being a dad and a husband, so it's fun too.
Always taking those steps is always a good thing, and like you said, making those goals and setting goals. I mean, everybody needs to do that in their life, and be true to yourself, be true to your partner. First and foremost, before we wrap things up, I want to remind folks to check out woodfamilytradition.com for all the new exciting things that are coming in for the family tradition there. And then, of course, Darin and Brooke, Aldridge.com for the inner journey. And you have an amazing, great new series on YouTube that you guys have started called Carolina Sessions. As well as your Sundays, shut-in Sundays on Facebook, on your Facebook page. So a lot of great ways to stay connected and support each other, and everybody in the industry is always cool. Again, Brooke, congratulations on your 3-time Female Vocalist of the Year award, going for 4 this year. Again, congratulations on your nomination. And Darin, always great to hear from someone who's mentored, who's been honored as being a mentor in the business. And you've got a lot of things ahead of you by being on the board of directors. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what the next 12 months will land for you in that aspect, as, of course, this new journey begins. And, of course, we got virtual World of Bluegrass this year. It's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to unfold from, the conferences to the award shows and all the amazing great music that will be had throughout the World of Bluegrass virtual this year. So thank you so much for being part of another Get Real Talk with me. It's fun having, husbands and wives, double tag teaming it. Before I officially say goodbye to you all, I want you to say one thing, and the first thing that comes to your mind about your partner, whether it's good, funny, or love and sappy, I want you to do it. So I want to go with Mackenzie first. So Mackenzie, give me something about Jason. First thing that comes to your mind.
Funny.
Jason?
He's just funny. He's always quick-witted and has a joke ready, has a funny story, usually true, and he's just funny. And that was the first thing that I really loved about him, was just how funny he was and is.
How about you, Darin? How about you for Brooke?
Well, Brooke's beautiful inside and out. Brooke's a special function to everybody. Her personality speaks out to people in ways
How about you, Jason? What about Mackenzie? First thing. There's no thinking.
My daughter calls me doo-doo instead of dada. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Mackenzie, she just has a servant's heart. She does. She wants to do for other people. She wants to make sure that other people are taken care of, and she puts other people before her. And that just describes her. She's funny as well. She's different in certain ways, so am I. But she's a lot like her dad and a lot like her mom. but more like her dad. No, I'd say mostly it's just servant's heart.
Cool. And Brooke, how about you on Darin?
Darin is confident. He's real. What you see is what you get. He's never gonna shoot bull with you. He's gonna tell you like it is, and I love that about him, because that's kind of how we complement each other. Because I'm kind of like shy and reserved sometimes, and he's like, he'll just tell you like it is. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, again, both of you, all 4 of you. I keep saying both because I'm so used, just seeing 2, but tag team. I love it. So again, thank you to Jason and Mackenzie Wood from the Wood Family Tradition. Visit their website, woodfamilytradition.com. and the multi-award winners, Darin and Brooke Aldridge. And thank you so much. Again, check out their website, darinandbrookealdridge.com. Check out their Facebook pages, their social media outlets, stay connected, and be sure to catch one of their online shows, whether it's Carolina Sessions or Shut-ins and Sundays. And of course, Jason and Mackenzie, when you guys do your thing, make sure you guys tag everybody to chime in and have some great fun.
I'm gonna
Thank
tag
you
you
again.
in every post from now on.
Well, I appreciate it for getting real with me here on Real Talk. Thank you so much for giving me your time today. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bye.
Good to see y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Again, Real Talk Bluegrass. Looking forward to the next episode. Will be August 13th. Special guest Bobby Powell of Carolina Blues going to be joining us, as well as Rick Ferris from Special Consensus. Both of them nominated for numerous awards for the 2020 IBMA Awards this year. So looking forward to having him on board. But be sure to keep your grass blue on the Bluegrass Borderline. Catch me on the weekdays with the Smoke Country Jam, but always keep it real with Real Talk Bluegrass. Thanks, everybody.